Hello everybody, my name is Kim Connolly. I am a licensed wildlife educator and owner of Animal Encounters, and today we have some animals from Australia. We're going to meet 7 different amazing animals from this continent and kind of give you a close-up look of what they look like and how they behave. We're going to start first with our Bennett's Wallaby. This is Alice. She is a Bennett's Wallaby Joey. A Joey is a baby marsupial, and if you are a marsupial, that means you grow up in a pouch. Alice is 10 months old, and that may seem pretty old, but when she was born, she was only about the size of a jelly bean. Then she crawled into her mom's pouch and began to drink milk the way that all mammals do. She will be about 3 feet tall when she's all grown up. Wallabies are the smallest members of the kangaroo family, which includes kangaroos, wallaroos, and wallabies. The science name of their family is macropod. Macro in this case means big. Pod means foot or toe, and we're going to show you exactly why they are the Bigfoot family. We can see these giant feet that they have for hopping and these giant toes with these big nails that grip the ground the way an athlete's cleats grip the ground to be able to get traction while they're hopping. This is one of Australia's amazing marsupials, the Bennett's Wallaby. Our next animal is the sugar glider. In Australia, they are often called a sugar bear. They get the glider portion of their name because they have all this extra skin in between their arms like this. The animal that they most closely resemble that we have here in Washington is called the flying squirrel. But these animals are not rodents. They are actually members of the possum family. So they are marsupials. We only have one pouched animal, one marsupial here in North America, and that is our native possum. These little friends live in the rainforests in Australia, and he will open his arms when he leaps, and the extra skin in between his arms act like a parachute, so he doesn't really fly, he falls gracefully. He uses that tail like a rudder to steer himself going from tree to tree. And we'll see if he'll do a little jump for us to his pouch. There we go. So these animals are a definite important part of the Australian ecosystem. They help pollinate plants. You can see he wants to get back into his little pouch. He is nocturnal, so this is the middle of the night for him, daytime for us. So he wanted to crawl back into bed. In the Australian ecosystem, they will crawl out of the trees at nighttime, and they have these little tiny cone-shaped heads, and they stick those little noses and their long tongues inside flowers and lick up the pollen, and they will go from plant to plant, and that helps pollinate. They also eat fruit, but they're really messy eaters, so they drop the seeds and fruit on the ground, which also helps new plants to grow. And in addition to that, they also will eat lots and lots of bugs, so that helps nature as well. So this is a fun little rainforest creature from Australia, our sugar glider. All right, everybody, our next animal is the spotted python. Spotted pythons are found around the coastal areas of Australia. They get their name for obvious reasons. They have these beautiful brown spots that help them camouflage. These snakes are some of the smallest pythons in the world. They are not quite the smallest. That would be the pygmy python, but at less than 3 feet long, he is definitely one of the smallest. Most people think of pythons as being really, really big, and that is true. There are some types of pythons that are big. We can think of pythons kind of like different breeds of dog. There's not just one size. We have small dogs, medium sized, big dogs, giant dogs. He is probably like the chihuahua of the python world. He is just a little guy. And he is unique in that his favorite food are bats. This little guy will climb up the side of a cave, and I can show you just how he will climb. You'll see him begin to arch and shorten up his body. This is how he is able to climb without having any arms and legs. He will climb to the top of my fingers, and this is exactly what he does. He climbs to the top of a cave in nature, hangs down over the top, and waits for his favorite food, the little insectivorous bats, to fly out at nighttime. He will grab them, squeeze them because he is a constrictor, and swallow them. And he is an example of a very, very gentle, docile snake, a common snake that we would find in many parts of Australia. Our next animal is also a snake, just a little bit larger. This is a coastal carpet python. Coastal carpet pythons are found, as their name suggests, along the coastline in northern Australia. This fella could be seen basking at the beach, and when he gets too warm, he would head into the trees for shade and for hunting. They get their name carpet python for a rather silly reason. It's thought they got that name because somebody looked at their coloring and patterning and thought that they might camouflage pretty well on an oriental rug in somebody's living room. They are definitely climbing snakes, as you can see. He is wrapping himself around my arm the way he would with a tree branch. Their bones are very long and flexible, and he is built for life in the trees. This is Hector. He is our bearded dragon. Bearded dragons are from the desert middle part of Australia, also known as the outback. And these animals are really well suited to desert life. His first line of defense is camouflage. He is rough like sandpaper. He has these little spikes which help break up the lines of his body. And when he gets scared, he will puff up his body, stick out these little spikes. He can also puff up his beard and turn it a dark color. And when he opens his mouth and puffs up his body, he looks much bigger than he really is. The dragon part of their name they get because they look a little bit like dragons from storybooks. They have a triangle-shaped head. They've got some little spikes on the side, but as you can see, no wings. He can't fly. He doesn't breathe fire. Looking big and tough is about as much as defense as this little guy has, but he is definitely well suited to life in the desert with his bumpy scales and his coloring. Say hi to Sheila. She is our blue-tongued skink. And when she sticks out that bright blue tongue, you can see how she gets her name. This is a lizard found in northern Australia. In fact, you might find one of these in your backyard if you live in Australia. They are particularly attracted to people's vegetable gardens because they love to eat the vegetables, but they will also dig it up and look for bugs as well. They use their head like a shovel, and they kind of go through the dirt and under the leaves looking for bugs and plants that they eat. Sheila is also unusual in that she is an animal mimic. Animal mimics pretend to be something that they're not, and in her case, she mimics a snake. We can kind of look at her body and get an idea of that she might be able to fool another animal into thinking that she is a snake based on her shape and how she moves. But she takes it a step further. She will hide herself in the grass, hide her legs, and then start acting snaky. She will move in an S shape like a snake. She will also hiss like a snake. And when she's sticking her tongue in and out and moving like a snake, she fools predators into thinking that she might be a very dangerous snake. If that doesn't work, she still has another way to survive. If a predator chases her and happens to grab her by the tail, she can also make her tail fall off. It will break away from the body, and when it does that, it twitches on the ground for a second, holds the predator's attention, and the predator eats the tail while the lizard has a chance to run away and regrow their tail over time. So this is Sheila, our blue-tongued skink. We have one last animal to share with you. This is our frilled dragon or frilled lizard. And this little fella's first line of defense is to try to look like tree bark. He lives at the top of the trees where the koala bears live, and he will flatten himself out against that tree and just try to blend in. But if that doesn't work and a predator still spots him and might want to try to eat him, he has another trick. He does the unexpected. He will jump down out of the tree, stand up on two legs, and he has all of this extra skin on the side of his head called a frill. And all he has to do is open his mouth and poof, it opens up like a little umbrella. And when he stands up on two legs with his frill open, instead of running away from an animal that wants to eat him, he will actually run towards the animal. And this confuses predators because they are stimulated and turned on by animals running away. Their brains are built to chase. When they see an animal running, they want to chase after it to hunt and kill. But when their prey is running towards them, the brain doesn't send those same messages. It kind of almost short circuits for a second. It creates a diversion. It kind of confuses the animal. And this little guy wouldn't run up to the predator and pick a fight. That would be foolish. He is just kind of getting the predator to freeze in confusion for just a moment, long enough for him to run right past the predator, up another tree, and to begin camouflaging once again. He can run up to 20 miles an hour. He is a truly amazing Australian animal. We have reached the end of our Australian animals presentation. I hope that meeting these animals up close gets you excited about exploring nature in your own backyards and understanding how important environmental conservation is. Thanks for watching.